All right, hi everybody, John Meadows here, and we want to continue on with our 3 simple tip series, and today we're talking about legs. So these tips are supposed to be the first things that come to my mind when I think about a body part. So it's not something that should be complicated. We're not talking about anything that requires a huge depth of understanding. These are just simple tips that if you apply them will produce results for you. So my first tip number 1, and you guys know that I love to do this, it's train your hamstrings first, specifically with leg curl. Now there's a couple reasons why I do that. So number 1, in order to have truly big legs, you've got to have hamstrings. And I think a lot of people treat hamstrings as an afterthought. They'll do this crazy, awesome quad workout, and then they'll throw on 3 sets of 10 for their hamstrings. And then they wonder why their quads are so much better than their hamstrings. So a lot of times it's just the simple focus of having hamstring work early in the workout that'll help your hamstrings. So I'll pop a picture up here and show you what my hamstrings used to look like. But the point is when you have a fully developed hamstring, it makes your leg look like one of those cows, those cows that had the myostatin gene taken out. It's really impressive. Now the other reason why I like to do the leg curls first is because it just makes your squats or leg presses feel better. So when you move on to the next exercise, which should be a very basic exercise like a squat or leg press, if you try this, you'll see what I mean. It just feels better. Your hips feel better, your knees feel better, the movement just feels better. I wish I could give you some long, drawn out scientific explanation or point you to 5 studies that show you why this works, but I'm just telling you, after decades of doing this, it makes a huge difference. So that is tip number 1. Okay, tip number 2 is around range of motion. There's a lot of debate on, should you do a full range of motion? And it's a great debate, it's a great discussion. So let's first talk about squats, because that's one of your better leg builders. I'm personally not of the opinion that we should all have a uniform rock bottom range of motion on squats. And I think if you really understand the mechanics of the body, I don't want to really get into that, it would make sense that some people squat a little differently than others. So my training partner today is Teresa Ivanchik, IFBB Pro. So watch her squat. She's going to do about 5 reps, okay? Just take a look at her form. Good, one more. Good, okay, crack it. All right, now I want you to look at my form. Now, you probably noticed some differences there in our form. So I think it's probably safe to say that Teresa's form, she has a little more depth than I do. She's going down a little lower. She has like a tiny bit of butt wing at the bottom, but not much. She's got a pretty straight back. Whereas my form, I've probably got a little bit more of the butt going back, and I'm probably not as deep as she is. Now, for me, that squat feels really comfortable. If I go down any lower, you'll see my back start to round, my pelvic girdle start to get all wacky. So, and I'll be in a lot of pain tomorrow. My lower back will hurt. So, depending on your structure, you may not want to squat real deep. You may want to squat real deep. So my point is that there's not a perfect range of motion on a squat for everybody. It needs to fit your body. Some people have longer femurs, longer thigh bones. Some people have longer spines. But just don't buy into the hype that every squat you do has to be a completely full range of motion. Now I will say this. If you do have a range of motion like mine, which is not rock bottom, I do believe you should find an exercise that does allow you to get a full range of motion. Now, I'm a big fan of a hack squat and a pendulum squat to achieve that. So your back is supported. I'm going to show you a couple reps over here in a second. Your back is supported. You can move your foot on the plate to, no matter how tall you are, how short you are, there is no excuse on those exercises, unless you've got a really banged up body, to not go real deep. You should be able to do that safely, thereby giving you that really good deep range of motion. So we don't have a hack squat here at this gym, but we do have a pendulum squat. So let me show you what a couple reps look like here. And we did do legs yesterday. Okay, your turn.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Oh, that was painful. Okay, so now Teresa's going to do 3 reps here. There you go, sinking there. Good, right there. So you can see on those last few reps, her knee, the crease on her hips, she was actually going below parallel. Those both, I think, were very deep reps, both of ours. Our back is supported, so this is a good example of now you do want a good deep range of motion. So that's tip number 2, range of motion. I do want something real deep, but it doesn't have to be on squats. Okay, now tip number 3 is something I'm very, very passionate about. If you don't like intensity, if you don't like to work hard, if you like to leave 5 reps in the tank, turn the video off, you probably don't want to hear this. So I really believe that legs need to be pushed really hard to grow, and I think that's why you see so many people who haven't, that they're out of balance, their upper body's way bigger than their legs. Hard leg training can be really painful and you can get really sore. I talk to a lot of people that say, man, my legs get so sore, but hard leg training, it's what is needed, in my opinion, to get really outstanding legs. The guys that I know that have the best legs, the Tom Platzes of the world, were the guys that train the hardest. And I could give you many, many examples of that, but the bottom line is, I believe that leg training needs to be hard, really hard, and you gotta really push yourself. And it's really painful. You just gotta learn how to mentally work through the pain. The other side of that is, of course, you need to recover, but I just want to emphasize that to me, leg training needs to be another notch in intensity. You've got to find another gear, you've got to work through pain, and I'm not just saying those things, that's something I've lived by for 30-some years of training. I just really think if you want awesome legs, you're going to have to train them really, really, really hard. Okay, so we'll throw in a bonus. Even if you do have awesome upper legs, quads, and hams, it still looks really goofy to not have calves. So if you really want to have an awesome look to your lower body, you got to have calves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually point you to a very thorough video, 21 tips for calves. Make sure you check that video out. It's very comprehensive. If you look at those 21 tips and you adapt them, your calves will grow. There's no doubt in my mind. So that's it for today. Thank you. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.